Hey guys, we're back. Welcome back to my kitchen where I'm doing part 2 of how to calculate a mortgage, how to calculate your monthly payment, how to calculate your cash to close, which includes your down payment and closing costs. I really want you to go back and search, if you are just checking out this video, to part 1 of the video where I broke down exactly what the costs are in closing costs, what they are in a down payment, what your monthly payment is going to be, an estimate. This is a tool for you so that you can watch these videos back and forth and walk through your own scenario, because one thing we get all the time in our DMs, why we created this page is to educate you. So I'm just going to send you this video or send you one of these videos because one of the questions, always number one, is credit. And I've definitely gone over that. But you know, how much can I afford? What would that payment look like? Sometimes we just get random people, have never been pre-approved, don't know how to calculate a mortgage, saying, I'm looking at $350. And then down the line, they're basically saying, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be that much or that little. So this is the calculation for you. So in this one, we're gonna break down $300,000 and a $400,000 price point. Again, from video number 1, the site that you're going to use is called mortgagecalculator.org. Mortgagecalculator.org. I want you to pull that up while you're watching this video and plug in your numbers. If you're at a $200,000 price point, if you're at a $750,000, a $1.5 million, whatever the case may be, you can use these numbers and plug in to give you an estimate. So now we're going to go off of $300,000. Again, the three typical down payments that people are going to do at this price point are 3% conventional, 3.5% FHA, or 5% conventional. All right, 300,000. 3% of 300,000, all you're going to do is put it in this calculator, mortgagecalculator.org, or have your handy calculator. 300,000 times 0.03. That equates to a down payment of $9,000. Now, we talked in the last video about closing costs, on average between 3 and 4%. So in this scenario, we're going to use 3.5%, just an average. 3.5% of 300,000 is $10,500. You'd add those two up, your down payment, your closing cost average, that totals $19,500. Again, like we talked about in the first video, a pretty good return on your investment for somebody giving you the opportunity to lend $300,000 to you. They're just going to charge you $19,500. Now, for a lot of people, that might sound like a lot, but this is what you need to do. This is the reality check of what you need to save up for in a worst case scenario. Like we talked about in the last video, in a slow market, you may get some help on closing costs from a seller. In a new home community, there's a really good chance when you use the preferred lender that they're going to give you help towards your closing costs. So you might be looking at them giving you on average $5,000. Some are maybe like a higher price point might give you more, a lower end property might give you less. So in all, let's just use $5,000 as a contribution from the seller, especially for those that want to buy a brand new home or a spec home or a resale home in a not such a hot market. So worst case scenario, that $19,500 to close. If they give you $5,000, now you're down to $14,500. In addition, like we talked about in the last video, they're probably going to ask for earnest money. I know they definitely are. So earnest money is, again, money that sits in an account. It's your money unless you walk away from the deal. It's going to go towards your down payment and closing cost. So, and let's just keep numbers simple. Sometimes it's going to be 5,000, sometimes it's going to be 10,000, sometimes it's going to be 1,000, sometimes it's going to be 2,000. So we're just going to use 2,000 in this example. So 19,500 minus the 5,000 in closing costs is 14,500 minus 2,000 to close on that home. After you've done all that, they gave you 5,000, you put 2,000 in earnest money, it'd be basically around 12,500. What a great deal. 12,500 to buy a $300,000 house. You could find a lot for a $300,000 house. 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, a nice townhouse in some good areas, a bigger house in a little bit more in the outskirts. Pretty good price point. Let's go over to a 3.5% down. Again, you're gonna be able to plug these numbers right into that mortgage calculator. 3.5% of 300,000 is 10,500. That's your down payment. Your closing costs are gonna be, again, 3.5%, 10,500. So your cash to close would total 21,000. And all I want you to do in a kind of a best case scenario is just go off of that, minus 5,000, minus 2,000, so a total of minus $7,000. So 21,000 minus 7,000. That would be your cash to close in a typical new home community where they're giving you 5,000 and you're putting $2,000 towards your earnest money. Again, whatever that number ends up being, you're just gonna plug that number in. If they gave you 10,000 towards closing and it was still only 2,000 towards your earnest money, you'd subtract $12,000. 10,000 plus 2,000 is 12,000. So 3.5% of 300,000, 21,000 in a kind of worst case scenario. And then finally the 5% down, which a lot of people will do also too, for various reasons, to get a smaller monthly payment, to have a little bit more equity in their home, a little bit closer to dropping that PMI down the road. If you have it, you have it. 5% of 300,000 is 15,000. Again, 3.5% towards your closing costs, 10,500, for a total of 25,500. Again, for most people that have saved diligently, that have prepared for this moment, that have a good credit score and are going to get a good interest rate, which we'll get into in a second, pretty good return on investment to buy a $300,000 house for 25,500 down. Again, whatever you put for your earnest money and whatever they give you for your closing costs, you're going to subtract that. So in that scenario, 25,500 minus $7,000. Your cash to close is going to be under $20,000. Not too bad. We talked about in the last video, on average, property taxes, I want you to multiply it by 0.0125. So 1.25%. If you're in the city of Atlanta, it's probably going to be much higher. If you're out in maybe Canton or Woodstock, somewhere in Cherokee County, it's probably going to be on the lower end, like around 1%, but let's just go off of on an average. And you're gonna be able to plug that into the mortgage calculator. So in this scenario, a $300,000 house, you could probably expect property taxes on average to be around $3,750. For insurance, this is something you definitely can play with because you're gonna get your quote from either the builder's homeowner's insurance company, or you're gonna bundle it with your car insurance. So on average, I put in $1,250. So your monthly payment would be averaging around at 3% down, $1,764.78. At 3.5%, $1,757.84, and at 5%, $1,736.99. So as you can tell, there's not a huge difference between 3% and 5%. You're talking about, in this scenario, about $28 difference in your monthly payment. So all those people that are like, oh my God, I need to save for 5%. If you have it, absolutely put more down if you can, because your payment's gonna go lower. But don't freak out, because a difference between a 3% and a 5% down is only $28 in your monthly payment. So at 300,000, guys, you're gonna get either a very nice townhouse, a nice probably resale closer to the city, and possibly a brand new home on the outskirts of Atlanta. I don't know about you, but at 4 or 5 bedroom, 3, 4, or 5 bedroom, under $1,800 is insane. It's an amazing, amazing deal. And don't forget, your property taxes and that homeowner's insurance is all going to be tax deductible, including the interest payments you're gonna be making. Now, in this scenario, I did it off of 3%, which is an average interest rate right now for a lot of my clients that have listened to our advice about credit, getting that score at 680, 720, 740. If you're probably in the 740s right now, rates are subject to change. I always got to put that out there. My clients are getting like 2.75, 2.99. If you're on the lower end of that scale, just qualifying, maybe a 620, you're probably going to be more at that 3.5, 3.75, 3.35. That's all you got to do is calculate it. But our objective is always to get those credit scores up, get you prepared. So again, to summarize the $300,000 price point, in a worst case scenario, 3%, $19,500, and a 5% down, $25,500, and in a 3.5% FHA, $21,000. Again, you'll just subtract the earnest money, just put $2,000 on average, could be more, it could be less, and then $5,000 towards your closing costs. Subtract that from those numbers. All right, another very popular price point right now, because when you see these numbers at the end, you're gonna be like, wow. Now this is somebody that has good income, has very manageable debt levels, maybe a small car note, a smaller student loan or no student loan, and a very good credit score. 400,000, 3% is 12,000. 3.5% for your closing costs be $26,000 to close on a $400,000 house, worst case scenario. 3.5% on a $400,000, which is an FHA mortgage, $14,000. 3.5% on that closing cost, $14,000, a total of $28,000. And on 5%. 5% of $400,000 is $20,000. 3.5% for the closing cost is $14,000. So that totals $34,000. So worst scenario, $26,000, $28,000, and $34,000. Again, minus seller contribution towards your closing cost, minus your earnest money. So in our scenarios that we've been using, $26,000 minus $7,000, $28,000 minus $7,000, $34,000 minus $7,000. That's on closing day, what you would need to wire over to the closing attorney. When you look at these numbers, guys, a $400,000 house in a worst case scenario at 3%, $26,000. That's a heck of a return on investment to get in the game, to start paying down principal, take advantage of equity to build generational wealth. If they're gonna help you with closing costs, it's even better. Maybe as low as $21,000, another $2,000 for your earnest money, $19,000 cash to close on a $400,000 house. Insane, crazy, great deal. That's why we do what we do. Taxes, again, 1.25% on 400,000 is about $5,000 a year. Now that's included in your monthly payment, your mortgage payment. I put $1,500 for insurance. Again, that's a variable that you're gonna get quotes from your insurance carriers. Typically, you get a bundle with your car insurance as well. All right, what's that monthly payment looking like? The principal, interest, private mortgage insurance, and your escrows, which is that property taxes and homeowners insurance. On a $400,000 house right now at 3%, you're looking at $2,339. 3.5%, $2,329. 5%, $2,302. You're now approaching $500,000, a $400,000 house, which is probably gonna get you a 4, a 5, maybe even a 6-bedroom home. It's probably gonna get you closer to that basement home that you're looking for. A nice size house. Where else in this country, in greater Atlanta, in New York City, in LA, in Miami, what are you guys paying? What would you pay for a rent for a $400,000 house? And you can own it in that $2,300 range, $2,300 to $2,400 range. Say the insurance is a little bit higher, the tax is a little bit higher, $2,300 to $2,400 for a 4, 5, 6-bedroom house. So again, I want you to go to mortgagecalculator.org, play with these numbers. You'll have an area to punch in your sales price, your 3%, 3.5%, 5% down, take the 1.25 for your property taxes, and it's also already gonna have a formula for your PMI. I think they average it at 0.5%. So to summarize, $250,000 price point, somewhere in the 1400s, 300,000, somewhere in the 1700s, 400s, somewhere in the 2300s right now. That's why we stress and we highlight these properties. So now it's up to you to do the work, guys. Do the work. You have the information. I want you to calculate. I want you to educate and go for it. We'll talk to you soon.